Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talking Heartland. This is the show where we break down past episodes of the Heartland show. And today we are doing season 10, episodes 4, 5, and 6. So it's a lot of fun. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Michelle is here.
Hey everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about these ones.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Make you want to go and jet off to Mongolia?
Oh, Rachel, don't get me started. We'll get into it.
Yeah, we're going to have some thoughts for sure
Yeah.
about that. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode in the comment section or on Twitter. Definitely let us know what you think about these 3 episodes, I should say. Well, we're starting out with New Horizons. This is episode 4. And the summary is: the family must deal with Amy and Ty's decision about their future. Georgie and Jade convince Tim to hire them on Aunt Maggie's. Amy and Ty help Casey's horse who stopped eating. So overall, what do you think about this episode?
I have so many mixed feelings about this episode. I really have issues with how Ty has been written out. Yeah, just top to bottom, it does not make sense to me. And I feel like the episode is trying its best, because from what I gather, the actor wanted time off, which is, understandable when you're on a show for, a decade.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into it as we go, but yeah, it just feels very out of character for
Yeah.
Ty and then also Amy.
I feel like you don't even really need to explain Ty being gone. You don't need to make it part of the story. You just tell other stories and have him pop in occasionally in the season. That's all you need to do. You don't need to make it some big plot point.
Yeah. Or you have him like doing like a veterinary course in Vancouver, or you have him like, there's a ton of different things. I think my biggest issue, as we'll get into it, is like, see if they had laid the groundwork of telling us that Ty was interested in this type of work, if they'd sort of mentioned it throughout the seasons. But from what we gather, his goals and dreams are to do what he's doing already. It's to open a veterinary, partner with Scott, learn what he can, and then eventually open a practice with Amy, with them working together with their different approaches. That's what we've been told is his dream. And I'm not saying that you can't have different dreams or develop different dreams, but it just feels like such a hard left very quickly. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden this is something that he's so passionate about, and it's a worthy thing to be passionate about, obviously, but it just doesn't fit with what we've been told of Ty up till now.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts as well, that I don't understand what they could possibly do in Mongolia to help the situation. Like, it's not like they are like politically powerful people, or I just don't understand what they're specially needed that they would actually be able to make any difference in these bears.
I mean, Bob makes a bit more sense as someone who would go do that because of the type of work that he does, and the fact that he's so sort of environmentally sort of passionate. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Ty isn't, but that's just not what we've seen from him. His lifestyle and sort of not something that's been sort of layered into his character. So it makes sense for just Bob's lifestyle, and also being single and sort of being a bit of a free spirit. That's just not that's not really what we've learned from Ty, especially these last sort of few seasons, that he's become a bit more of a family guy, a bit more sort of conservative, a bit more sort of grounded and sort of at home. But yeah, it feels a bit
there was some specific kind of mission, and then I guess I could understand it, but I just don't understand how they are going to be stopping the treatment of these bears. What are they going out and like stopping the poachers? Like, I don't know. I don't think that will go very well.
As far as I'm aware, like, Ty hasn't done any sort of veterinary work with bears.
Right.
So, it feels a little bit like, I mean, like, Tim and Jack hadn't even heard of Gobi bears. They were like, "What?" So it's
Yeah,
not
they
like
want
a well-known
somebody
thing.
that
Yeah.
had worked at a zoo or something like that. It
Mhm.
just doesn't make sense that they would be like, we gotta have Ty. He'll make or
Yeah.
break the salvation of these bears.
Yeah.
I think it works very well. The other thing that kind of annoys me is that when Amy went off to Europe with King,
Uh-huh.
it was treated like she was the worst
Oh
person
my God.
in the
Yeah.
world, the
Yeah.
most selfish decision that you could make. The
Uh-huh.
next
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she didn't have a waiting pregnant spouse at home.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
There was no reason why she shouldn't go. She wasn't engaged. She wasn't like there.
Hmm.
In the
And she knew
show
what she was
treated it like
doing.
it was
Yeah.
the most selfish decision that she was,
Yeah. 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 And we knew exactly what Amy was doing. We saw the work that she was doing,
yeah,
with that particular horse, with the people that, those characters had been layered in. We knew what she was going over there for. But yeah, like Amy being so on board so quickly didn't make sense because, like you said, like she could have, brought up the fact that the way Ty reacted when she went
yeah.
to Europe, it just didn't make sense
Like
for
for
Amy.
you
Where she
remember
is
that
now, yeah.
they had that like you're leaving me music, and it was just like the most traumatic thing. I'm like, she's going for a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Over like the summer, it wasn't even like,
I mean, for once, I agreed with Tim.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah, yeah. It's a bad day when you're sort of siding with him.
and he says, you're in no state to make a rational decision to Amy, which was rude. But then he says,
Yeah,
now I
yeah,
have two idiot son-in-laws.
yeah. This is not going to help Ty's case with Tim whatsoever.
Mhm. Yeah. And Jack, he says you'll have regrets if you go, but you'll have regrets if you do,
Yeah,
or
I
if
feel
you
like that
don't.
was
And
probably the most sensible discussion that came out of this.
uh-huh.
It felt like so many people were so sort of on one side of it, against it or for it, whereas Jack had the more sort of sensible, discussion about it.
Yeah, when he says I left Lindy on her own when she was pregnant, and he regrets that, but then Amy says, well, but she wrote all this great songs, and there's a
Hmm.
particular one that she wrote, and that she was happy to have her freedom. I doubt it. I think that most pregnant women would want their partner to be with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
that's not
doesn't
a,
make
like, maybe they are accepting of it, but I don't think it's some like liberating experience.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder if they knew from the beginning of the season that he was leaving, but
Mhm.
yeah, it just doesn't make sense, even just the episodes leading up to this, of how
Yeah.
like and like how involved Ty is in her pregnancy and how excited he is. So yeah,
Yeah.
just a
And
few.
well, at the beginning of the episode, Amy and Ty are looking for a new truck
Yeah.
because they have, his old truck. And that's probably wise. I like, if it was me, I wouldn't want to have a truck,
Yeah,
any kind
that's
of
what.
truck with a
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
That the people make fun of minivans, but they are the best
Hmm.
car for
Yeah.
children, because especially with car seats, because any other you have to reach over,
Hmm.
and whereas like a minivan you could walk in to
Yeah.
it. And so it's just way easier, way better.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like a lot of stuff to cart around as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like just the seat. But yeah, it was so
You've
strange
got
that they were just
stroller
literally
and
trading in their truck for like a truck with more seats.
yeah, it just, yeah, you would, again, people think it's lame, but you want a minivan, that's what you got to have.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And you can get good deals on a used one. So,
Yeah. Especially with
and they're
Jack
really
there.
safe. Um, so then Jack is supposedly going to be teaching them how to shop for cars.
Yeah.
And then his truck breaks down. And this used car salesman was like the nicest used car salesman.
Yeah. Yeah. He did nothing wrong. Jack was just not for it.
He was low pressure. He was
Yeah.
calm.
Yeah. Very easy, Ozzy, very honest.
Mm-hmm. So
Poor guy.
then we have Casey's horse stops eating. And Amy wants to help, but she can't because of the x-ray. This is when she sees the website. She doesn't know about the whole Mongolia trip. She sees the website.
Yeah.
She's like, that you should go for it. I don't know. It was lame. It's just lame. That's the way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the show's never been good at this type of stuff, but this is definitely the worst one yet.
yeah, for sure. And then, so this horse, the hay gets stuck in the horse's throat. And I thought all of that was kind of gnarly.
Oh, that was gross. Yeah, that was
Yeah, it
really
was
gross.
gross.
Yeah. It just shows you like the amount of problems like teeth issues can cause animals.
Mhm.
You know, that's usually the first thing I feel like an animal stops eating. Like, I know just from having dogs and cats and things like that, the first thing the vet checks is teeth. Because dogs, you know, they can't tell you they're in pain.
Yeah. I'm surprised that didn't make Amy lose her
Yeah.
lunch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, because your senses are so heightened when you're pregnant. You smell, or so I've been told at least, they smell things much more potently. So
Yeah.
that hay, ooh, that'd be brutal.
Yeah.
So we find out that Casey gave up barrel racing for when she married Hank. And she says, regrets pop into your head after not thinking about it at all. And yeah, I mean, it's tough because any relationship you do make sacrifices in a relationship, because you have two people with two dreams and you have to make it a combined dream and you have to make it work for the two of you. But in the best of worlds, that new dream becomes your dream, you know, kind of like Flynn Rider says.
Yeah.
I wish that they hadn't done what they've done with Casey and Tim. I don't really like it. I wish that they could just kind of be Lisa and Jack kind of relationship. Like, yes, I want conflict, but having him have the same kind of conflict with her that he had with Janice and what's her name, with the kid that we've forgotten about. Forget her name.
Miranda.
Yeah, right. I don't know. What do you think of that, about her saying that?
Yeah, again, it feels a little bit like this was written in to sort of help the Ty storyline as opposed to being kind of more authentic to Casey's story. Maybe a little bit, but yeah, it just sort of, yeah, I agree. Like, for me, like the Tim and Casey thing was so strong up to this season, and now it's like I've lost all hope that they are, you know, going to go beyond this season. It feels sort of doomed because neither of them are, you know, Tim is very much at a point where, you know, unlike his previous relationship, he's the one wanting to settle down, whereas that was, you know, it sort of flipped for him. And that Casey's not ready, and I understand why Casey's not ready, but the show doesn't seem interested in having her sort of work through that, and sort of take little steps the way that Lisa did. So yeah, it just feels sort of doomed to me at this point, and I've sort of lost a little bit of interest in the relationship.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I wrote down that that I said, I said, what on earth could they do for the Bears? And then, am I on Team Tim? How's this happening? So we find out that this horse is named Cody, that he has a teeth problem that I guess is causing the eating problem. And again, that was pretty gnarly. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not need Ty to sort of explain the surgery to me. That was pretty gross.
Yeah, it really was. Whew. So we also have on this episode, we have Jade and Georgie wanting to work at Maggie's. I don't really understand this because Jade is like, isn't she a full-on adult at this point?
Yeah, they haven't sort of explained. I'm guessing she still lives with her mum because she moved into the trailer, then moved back out of it.
Did she
I'm
move
guessing.
back out of it? I forgot
Yeah,
that.
yeah. She lived in it for like a night. It was just to like get another person into that trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like I'm sure rodeo isn't bringing in a lot of money considering she's just a trainee. So yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really explain what she does.
Yeah, I don't really understand why Tim wouldn't want them working at Maggie's. Like,
Yeah,
they're both responsible for the
he
most part.
clearly
Jade's
needs
had
the
her
help.
moments.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like it's, I mean, I totally respect people that are, waitresses and and serving people. I totally respect that. But it's not like it's something beyond their skill level that they could do. I don't understand why he would have any problem with them helping him. It was weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And he clearly needs the help. Like,
Yeah, it was weird. But they have like tons of ideas. They get Wi-Fi, free refills, and that seemed like great ideas to me.
yeah, yeah. Um, I guess it just depends on the type of people he wanted in Maggie's. But yeah,
uh,
when they
I
sort of
mean,
changed things, it was all the sort of kids and stuff. But yeah, like customers are customers. Like,
yeah, is it going to be that different in Hudson? I mean, I feel like the clientele is going to be fairly consistent.
exactly. It's just the same community.
It's not like you're going to have people in there like business suits and stuff like that in
Yeah,
Hudson.
for sure.
I don't know. It was weird. But they have open mic night, and then Amy and Jack sing a song, which was really nice.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that was great.
And then Tim talks to Casey about the possibility of barrel racing again. Well, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
Ugh, I don't know. I think this might be like I feel brutal saying 6, but yeah, I just have so much like mixed
Yeah.
feelings about this Thai stuff. So yeah, let's go with like 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds good. From USA Today's bestselling author Jenny Hale comes a story about second chances, family bonds, and finding out who we really are.
Butterfly Sisters is the perfect escape for fans of Susan Wiggs, Rand Thane, and Susan Mallory.
A heartwarming story that will have you laughing, crying, and rushing to those you hold dear.
If you loved the Christmas movies based on Jenny's books and are looking for more feel-good, small-town romance, look no further.
Available wherever you purchase books or download audiobooks. Find out more at itsjennyhale.com.
That's itsjennyhale.com.
All right. So then the next episode we have is called Something to Prove. Tim's team building mounted orienteering event turns competitive. Amy and Cass have a falling out over Ty's partnership at the clinic, but a close call forces them to reconcile. Lisa's uppity Aunt Evelyn visits. What do you overall think of this one?
Yeah, this episode had its moments. It was sort of interesting. I like the Jade and sort of Georgie sort of the different thing that they're so good at like picking these events and these things that are all sort of on horseback. So yeah, it was a good little um drama free sort of episode, and I like the Lisa stuff. I thought the Lisa stuff was really good. It's been a while since we've had some good sort of development for Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, that was I would say the A storyline
Yeah, for sure.
of
Yeah.
this episode. And
Mhm.
boy, Aunt Evelyn, woo, she was
Yeah,
brutal.
she was brutal. Yeah, I suppose this is one of the like positive things of losing Ty for a lot of the season. It looks like, and Lou being sort of in and out and more characters are sort of getting a little bit more of a spotlight.
Yeah, I liked it too. And I was kind of glad, even though Evelyn was terrible,
Hmm.
that we finally got an episode where they addressed the fact that they don't live together
Hmm.
and they have kind of a strange marriage. an interesting marriage.
They have an interesting marriage that works for them. But it is nice that, Lisa, has sort of fully sort of folded into the family to the point of like it's truly her family. She feels very connected to them, and she wants to help them in any sort of way. So yeah, it was interesting to have the aunt come in and sort of throw around statements like glorified babysitter.
Yeah, that was
harsh.
I can't imagine how she could have thought that would be like productive to call her a glorified babysitter.
Exactly.
And that's just, there's no way that she's going to kind of come along to your way of thinking when you call her, when you're so mean like that. And I was glad when she was like, how dare you call me a glorified babysitter, because she loves Katie.
Yeah, it very much Katie sort of feels very much like her granddaughter at this point. And I suppose she is, it does feel like she is, a permanent fixture of the sort of family unit at this point.
Yeah, well, and she's her godmother as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So but she comes and she gives all these presents. When she gives Jack the dress, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I would have paid I paid a lot of money to see.
I know.
See him in that.
But
scene at the end, please.
Yeah, Katie was cute in this episode. She was kind of about the kite and everything. She was really cute. And then we had some pretty good Adam moments, I thought, in this episode. I liked the fact that after their ride, he's like super sore, because you never see that on the show.
Yeah.
And I've only been horseback riding a couple times in my life. Was not for me. But you are so sore after you do it.
I imagine so. Yeah, you're using muscles that you've never used before. Imagine if you're on a horse.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then they do this competitive orienteering, and I'm kind of annoyed with this whole obvious relationship between Clay and Jade that they are starting up, because like enemies to lovers is fun, but not when the enemy is a misogynistic jerk. And it's so obvious that's where they're going with it.
Yeah, so many shows don't get the balance right. That they start the character off in such a detestful way that it's just hard to ever get on board. It's sort of why the sort of hallmark thing when they do sort of these type of storylines, it always works, because they're never going to take those characters to like a dark place.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like fatal flaws that they work too much, or that they live in the city like that.
Right.
Yeah,
that they want to shut down the festival.
Yeah, that they have to make a sensible business decision that closes down like a cafe or something like.
Yeah. I did like when Adam says to George, do you think maybe your personality isn't suited for the service industry? That was a good line.
Yeah.
But basically they end up in the mounted orienteering. I don't know why I can't say those words. Mounted orienteering.
I put mountaineering just as like a shorthand because I couldn't write it down every time. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing
that. So they have him switch so that Georgie is working with Clay and Jade is working with Adam. But then at the end, they end up switching back. And so it appears that Jade and Clay won, even though they really didn't. But we also find out that Clay is afraid of spiders.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I dread to think what Jade is going to do with that information.
That's going to be interesting. Do you have something like that you're afraid of?
Snakes. Can't look at them. Can't, even if they're on TV, can't deal with it. It's my worst fear.
I don't like snakes. I'm not a huge animal person. It's kind of funny. I'm do this podcast because I respect animals. I want them to be treated well. I just don't love like them jumping on me or touching me or licking me. It's just not my favorite. I think because I didn't grow up with animals. Both my sister and brother were both super allergic.
Mhm.
So it's just not something I was kind of raised with, their movements and their,
Yeah.
sort of personal space
Yeah. Yeah.
problems.
Yeah. I always sort of blame my dad for like the fact that I've always had that. I've always had a dog as an adult because I grew up with
Mhm.
them. Like I grew up with large dogs my whole life, so I've just always had one. It feels
Mhm.
weird without one.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, I can get used to a domesticated animal, a dog, a
Mhm.
cat, things like that. I
Mhm.
get used to their movements and I'm fine. But like wild animals, I
Yeah.
struggle with.
Mhm.
It's like a wild deer or something, like, oh, I don't like that. But I've tried to improve over the years. My mission was very challenging because people we joke in that we'd always joke that the Hoosiers in Indiana love their dogs and their cigarettes. So I was challenging on both accounts. but but yeah, I do think this uh mounted orienteering looked like a fun activity.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have loved to have done this just on feet, like not on
Hmm.
a horse.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of doing the, what is it called, like the geo
With the
um
geocaching.
yeah, geocaching. Like
Yeah.
kind of similar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. um let's see if there's anything else. A lot of, like I said, a lot of the time is taken in this episode between Jack,
Yeah.
Lisa, and Evelyn.
Yeah. The other
And
little thing was Cass um sort of pressuring Scott to sort of give her a raise, considering she's lifting a sort of a lot of the sort of work at the veterinary clinic, some ties away. She's doing all of his work. Um, and I like that she sort of knows her worth. Like that's not something that we see a lot, but Cass is very abrupt in her approach to like, you either make me a partner or give me a raise or I'm walking.
yeah, I feel like she's the only one kind of making the logical points about this
Yeah, yeah.
insane thing that Ty's doing. She's like, he's
Uh-huh.
a messiah complex, everything.
Yeah.
And like, she should complain. She's right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I put that down. I was like, yeah, it's good that she knows her worth. She's like, I'm doing all this work and I'm not being compensated for it. And I
Yeah.
felt like she was pretty much being treated like a villain for asking for, compensation for what she was actually doing.
Because Amy gets upset with her and says, "You're getting Ty fired." And she's like, "No, that's not all I'm doing is wanting what is owed for me."
Yeah.
And I said in my notes, I said, Cass is right. She deserves to be
Uh-huh.
made partner.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was interesting. I found out as well that the actress is pregnant during this season. So
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, like Amber Marshall's got a fake baby bump, and like this whole episode, you just see the actress sort of hold things up over her stomach, trying to sort of hide her real bump.
Well, it's weird because Cass was pregnant, right?
No, that was a what you call it? Ugh,
No, with
a false
Caleb.
positive.
It was a false positive.
That was false. Yeah,
Oh, I forgot
she
that.
wasn't pregnant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot that. But yeah, Amy says that it is personal and she's upset with Cass, but then she gets sick and has to get taken to the hospital.
Mhm.
And they they have a reconciliation, I guess.
Yeah.
And then she says that she wants a 20% raise to Scott's. She says that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if she's going to be doing all the work for herself and Ty,
Yeah. Yeah, and it
she deserves
seems
it.
like they don't even have like enough assistants to sort of do the sort of the sort of lesser tasks that vets can sort of skip. So it seems like she's doing the work of like three people.
Yeah. So they end the episode with the family kite flying with Katie, and that was cute.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fun.
It's really cute.
So what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I would give it like a 7.5. A little
Mhm.
bit higher, just because I thought the Lisa storyline was really strong.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I was going to say 7, but
Yeah.
okay. Next we have the green-eyed monster. And this is Amy helps a mounted archer reconnect with her horse. Meanwhile, Georgie's relationship is tested when Adam finds her spending time with another guy. So what did you think overall of this one?
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. Just yet another thing for Georgie, another skill for Georgie to learn. I wonder if she will stop trick riding to do this archery thing. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I actually think that Georgie has more chemistry with Clay as friends than either of their like romantic relationships that they're trying to set up. Like I think they would make pretty good friends with just like sort of the way their chemistry, because yeah, like the Jade and Clay thing, is it working, and the Georgie and Adam thing just isn't really working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so she starts to get worried in this episode that Adam is kind of smothering her.
Yeah,
There's too much.
yeah,
And so she kind of slightly ghosts him.
hmm
But I don't, they're just in high school. Like,
yeah,
shouldn't they
yeah.
just be
It feels
having
to me
fun,
like
hanging out?
yeah,
Like, isn't
yeah,
they take it too seriously sometimes on these shows?
yeah. They take it way too seriously, and it feels like the sort of writing it is Georgie is sort of finding other interests and wanting to do other things, and she's sort of coming out of the honeymoon phase that she was in, of like constantly wanting to be around Adam, and that's not that's not where Adam is. He's still very much in the honeymoon period.
Yeah. But again, they're just in high school. There should be no honeymoons.
Yeah, exactly.
We having fun. I did read a little bit on. I found an article on horseback riding when you're pregnant because I was just curious,
Uh-huh.
and the advice in this column said that during the first trimester, the baby is in your pelvic girdle, a bony structure that offers some protection if you were to fall. So if it's early in your pregnancy, you're an experienced horseback rider and the horse is only walking while you're on its back, the danger to your baby is low.
Mhm.
As your pregnancy progresses, the risk of serious injury to you and your baby increases. If you get thrown from or kicked by a horse after your first trimester, once your baby has moved higher up in your abdomen, there's little to protect your baby from harm.
Mhm.
So that's so Amy would probably be fine in this first part.
Yeah.
Um, just clopping away, not like, anything serious.
hmm Yeah, I think it's interesting that they have this sort of the the sort of liberty thing that she does with Spartan, because it is a way that she can, you know, work
True.
with her horse, and sort of, they do say like mental stimulation and with animals is just as important as physical. So yeah, it's a nice balance that they've got, that they've got that option of her working with Spartan, because we haven't seen her with Spartan in a while.
Yeah, well, and Jack starts to get worried about
Yeah.
Amy and about Spartan.
Mhm.
He tries to take Spartan out. Spartan's getting jumpy, and this horse that Rhonda has is biting, and they start to figure out that it's because when she wasn't able to ride him because she was pregnant, that it caused problems.
Yeah, yeah, some jealousy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
like, that's a very real thing. Like I've had dogs that, especially a dog I had when I was younger that I was very bonded to. And
mm,
whenever like my cousins or my nieces would come over, like he would just sort of sit next to me like glue, like you wouldn't leave. He was
no, it's
very
it's Nora's horse. Sorry, Nora's
awesome.
horse. That's the one, the Archer. That's the one
Yeah.
because the Rhonda's, she brings it in and she sees that Amy's pregnant. She's like, no.
Oh yeah, she's like gets out of town like immediately.
Yeah. which I mean, I guess kind of makes sense. You should probably give a heads up on that and say
Yeah.
this is the services that I can provide at this time if you're
Uh-huh.
interested in that.
Yeah, and there's also sort of the aspect of, who's liable if Amy does get injured. Um,
Right.
if she does get injured, is it, the owner's fault or so yeah, I suppose it's
Yeah.
illegal. Yeah,
What do you think of Jack and this jar?
I thought it was hilarious. It's such a like granddad thing of like having such a specific way of measuring and like cooking and like you can't do anything without this jar. I just thought it was so comical of like Lou the second Lisa says I lost his jar and she's like, oh, you're in trouble.
Well,
Like
and
everybody knows about the jar.
what I thought was funny is that instead of just trying to make it without the jar, he makes an entirely different
Entirely different.
recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, just like at this point you should be able to just sort of eyeball the ingredients.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know what would make a stew taste sour. They were like, it was eating the worst thing they'd ever had.
Yeah, yeah. Like, they're not going to put like sour cream in like a stew.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe you might put like a little bit of vinegar maybe in the stew. I don't know what would make it taste sour, but that was funny.
Yeah,
They're all like, And so Lisa, of course, feels bad that she got rid of the special jar. And I really liked the whole scene with Blue and Mitch fishing. I thought that was really good.
yeah, I thought it was really good. I was a little disappointed that we got such a short amount of time with Mitch, and Lou, considering we hadn't seen him in a little bit. But yeah, it's sort of that frustrating thing of like neither of them will let each other speak, and you're just like, oh, come on, communicate.
Yeah, but it was just like I love the whole sort of leaning over him
Oh yeah,
leaning
yeah,
over her,
yeah. That's such
helping
a
her, and
trope.
then she catches the fish, and it's like
Yeah,
it was so cuddly.
yeah,
It was very flirty, and then she says before going out there, she's like, I couldn't stop thinking about him the whole time I was in New York. I was like, swoon.
yeah, yeah. I was so the second she saw that, I was so excited for what the episode held, and I was so like, oh, frustrated. It's like, come on.
But yeah, it would have been nice to have gotten like more time, more like a good more kissing, that kind of thing. Would
Yeah,
have been fun.
yeah,
Then yeah, her kind of storming off, enjoy your solitude kind of thing. Like I don't know why Mitch would tell her to leave like that.
yeah. We sort of saw him holding his sort of dog tags, which I'm not sure if they were his or his cousins, but it seems like he was having a bit of a moment. But yeah, we never found out what it was. We never found out what his problem was or, what he was going through.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was thinking about his
Mm,
cousin, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's why. There was a nice moment though, I thought, when Amy is getting upset because Nora takes the horse. And so Amy's upset, and they have kind of a nice sister moment between her and Lou.
Yeah, that was nice. Oh, it's always good when they have sort of a sister moment because I feel like the show is sometimes a bit sort of forgetful about that and we don't get it for like episode.
The horse, Doc,
Mhm.
Nora's horse, is getting upset because of the baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sort of jealous.
jealous. And then Nora says, I love being a mom, but don't want to forget who I was before Milo,
Uh-huh.
or the baby, which that's such a cute baby's name, I think, Milo.
Oh yeah, that is really cute, yeah. Yeah, but it's a good storyline because it is something like I follow quite a few sports and it is the amount of judgment that they put on sort of female athletes that leave and then sort of come back after maternity leave and they sort of expect, the same results or they're very harsh when,
Yeah.
the results aren't, they're just fans in the media and what have you are just very harsh on mothers in sports.
No, I mean, we are so quick to judge women in general for just all their choices.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jade tells Georgie, try to be less available. And then we see that Adam sees this picture of Clay doing the archer and Georgie working together. I don't really feel like Georgie and Clay would be sort of a valid, I don't know, I can't imagine that they would be seen as like a valid couple. He's older
No.
than her. I just don't see any
He's too old
chemistry.
for her. Yeah, he's too old for her. They definitely have like a good friendship vibe that I think they could be good friends. Like I wrote down that they have more chemistry as friends than sort of either of their love interests at this point.
Right.
They just have like a good sort of banter and attitude, and fun, which I feel like that's the sort of missing thing with Georgie and Adam, is it doesn't really feel fun when you're watching it.
Yeah, it's just not cute. Like
No.
I don't know if you watch High School Musical, the musical series.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I just loved EJ and Gina so much. They were they had so much chemistry. I loved them so much in the second season. And it wasn't even a very good season, but I loved them. And so that's the kind of relationship that that you want as far as these teen romances. They were so good together. They're like the gold standard as far as I'm concerned. And but she does say to Clay, she says that's the kind of macho crap Jade hates. And then Clay says, so she does talk about me, which was like kind of fun.
Yeah.
I just wish they hadn't made him a misogynist. I wish they, like make him a jerk, make him kind of rude, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. It's like I'm not like a big Gilmore Girls fan, but it feels like the way they started with Jess, that he wasn't like, as far as I remember, he was just kind of rude. He wasn't. That's why people sort of rooted for him and Rory so much. That sort of.
Well, even if you think about even if you think about Caleb on this show, like he started out kind of rude, but not like.
Yeah, kind of egotistical and sort of.
Yeah, not like abusive and a misogynistic jerk. He was just like a little rude.
Yeah. Yeah, because even in these episodes, there's like a scene of him sort of sitting in a diner with all of his friends laughing at her for having a job, and you're like, how are we supposed to root for them?
Yeah, exactly. So then it basically ends with Amy spending more time with Spartan, and Mitch tries to apologize, but Lou isn't hearing it. Lou's still upset. So it's the green-eyed monster. So I would give this was a pretty fun episode. I'd give it like a 7.5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So let us know if you're listening what you would give these episodes and what you think of these three. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on Twitter. And Michelle, how can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And also make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your 5-star reviews. We really appreciate it. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We would appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store where we have Heartland inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks again, and we'll talk next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.